Uh, Bethany, what did you send us in the group chat today? Because I just couldn't even see the front of the can.
That was a Ghost energy drink, not sponsored yet.
Yet. We're on the lookout.
Red berry. No red dye though. I was really surprised.
Can we get 7-Eleven to sponsor us?
I want some Slurpees.
Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Dark Collective podcast with myself and the ever so luscious, ever so sexual Bethany is here. And then the ever so annoying Jennifer is here. I'm just kidding.
You're not wrong.
I thought for real the sexual one was going to be me because of what Jen's done this entire podcast. So I was like,
Rude.
what?
Rude.
The quiet one.
I'm nice during this podcast.
Sure.
You're amazing, and you know
Beautiful.
things happen. And speaking
You're
of
so
things
pretty.
happening, our intro, you guys. Sorry, it was a little chaotic, but we're gonna get back to that story. So Bethany does not drink energy drinks. We just need to throw that out there. So Bethany, can you explain?
So this is a little story. My coworker, whenever we work together and it's just us, we get an energy drink and we end up splitting it. We have like cups because we can't have one to ourselves. We cannot. So I asked her who's got the energy drinks for tomorrow. She said she did. Today we come in and she has 2 whole giant energy drinks. And
I'm not ready for this yet.
Oh my.
My tolerance level is not there.
Wasn't expecting. I sipped on it for 2 hours. And then about 2 hours in, we had
This
like
is
a
like
lull.
the sipping on the espresso martinis for... What did you eat, Bethany? Did you eat? No. Okay.
Of course not.
I still haven't. So we sip on it, and then about 2 hours later, I said something super out of pocket, and I was just like super fast. Like the sentence just didn't make any sense. It was just so sped. She goes, "Is that energy drink hitting you? Like hitting you? Because it didn't affect her at all." And I was just like, "Huh." And then I started texting Jen and Red and everybody. I was like, my whole body is tingling right now. I can feel things. I said at one point I had text, I feel tall, but feel was like with the little asterisk, like feel tall. I really did though. At one point I caught myself staring at a wall for a good minute and I was just like, I have to look away now.
Bethany, hugs, not drugs, okay?
There's no drugs. We looked it up.
We literally looked it up.
It's just got so much coffee and caffeine.
Yeah.
Bethany literally sent us the ingredient list. It was fantastic.
I was so like brained there that like there was an ingredients list and then there was like the dumbed down version and it was bullet pointed. It was beautiful.
Well, then Bethany, the fact that she had caffeine reminded me like, oh, Jen, you haven't had caffeine in like a week and a half. And I was like, no wonder I haven't been productive all week and I've been tired. So then I had caffeine and then I was like...
She gets very creative when she's on caffeine. And like, we couldn't figure out because all of us do these events and then we come home and we do our shit. We just get shit done. That's how we work. But both me and Jen were like, what is wrong with us this week? And I started a new medication and she just stopped caffeine for a week. So
it was like a week and a half. It was last Thursday. Oh, like, kind of like a week and a few days. It was last Thursday and we're now recording like the next Sunday. And then I was like, oh yeah. I haven't had any caffeine. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So when I was like running around the house, cleaning, got stuff done, I was like, spring cleaning time.
So, you know, we just got back from Polaris. We had an amazing time. We'll definitely talk more about that soon. But we actually have a big thing that's coming tomorrow. By the time this airs, it will already be out, but we're really excited. So
we can talk about it now.
Yeah, we can talk about it. So Jennifer, talk about it.
So we have, like Red said, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be like a few weeks after it's announced, but the Sinners and Stardust anthology is finally out. We are so excited about it. From the very beginning, we know what we wanted to do with like the money that we raised from it. So we created there's 2 scholarships. It's going to be the Stardust Anthology Scholarship and the Sinners Anthology Scholarship. The first one, only our anthology writers, so like our authors that joined and wrote a story for the anthology, they can win that scholarship. And then for the other one, any of our Sinners and Stardust authors can win that one. So what we're going to do is, you know, for the Stardust one, which is anthology authors only, all of their names are going to go into a giant bowl. And then we're going to draw a name at the ball on Saturday at Sinners and Stardust. And then for the any Sinners and Stardust 2024 author scholarship, that one will be, everyone's name will go in once. Anthology authors get like a couple extra entries for contributing and creating the anthology. And then actually the attendees get to nominate and, you know, vote essentially for who they think, you know, could benefit from that scholarship. Things that we're hoping to help, you know, a couple authors with are things that like a lot of people don't think of when it comes to authors, because authoring is hard.
Authoring is very hard.
English is hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of cost. You're not wrong. There's a lot of costs that like people don't necessarily think about, like, you know, editing and formatting. You know, the pretty PR boxes that everyone sees, the copyrights, the creating their audiobooks, you know, that everyone loves. Those all cost a lot of money. So we were hoping, like, even if it's, you know, again, we don't know how much it's going to be. It just, we're splitting it in half, and half is going to this one, half's going to that one. So
I think it's so cool,
excited.
though.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to be so amped. And like Jen can attest, Red didn't know what an anthology was up until about 3 months ago. I'm still learning. But no, I also am learning about how, you know, the scholarships make a difference. And you guys, the amount of work these two women, Bethany and Jen, put into the way this book is laid out, the way that it looks, it is absolutely breathtaking. I had nothing to do with it, and I'm fine with it.
We can't even take, you know, any credit for it. We just emailed and we said, this is what we want. This is what we like. I want this. Move that over a half a centimeter to the left.
Pretty please.
But yeah, like it was freaking Shay at Disturbed Valkyrie. She is our formatter, and she did our whole cover design. And it is beautiful, if I do say so myself.
It is amazing.
Yes.
We cannot wait to post about it and show you guys. And I actually have not been able to see the stories. Only Bethany and Jen have had that privilege. And I want to be surprised. I want to be like an attendee, and I want to wait for the book, and I want to read it, and I want to be super excited.
Good.
And a lot of the authors.
She's like over 650 pages. And
so she a book, like a book. She gonna weigh my Kindle down, is what you're telling. No, I'm just kidding.
And then we have pretty chapter designs throughout, and then you're gonna get the option to either, if you want your book engraved. We're still deciding. I mean, when this comes out, we'll probably figure it out. But we're still deciding exactly what we want along the edges. Like, it will say Sinners and Stardust, but then we're thinking of like some other cool design maybe to go along it. So yeah, it's gonna be really pretty, and I'm so excited about it.
It's gonna be gorgeous.
I think the biggest thing is that we have heard this recently a lot from people that are a part of the event, and it's something that we are staying true to as much as we possibly can, is staying on brand. And if I can say that this anthology is so damn on brand from what I know and have seen, it is just chef's kiss to the Sinners and Stardust brand. Like, it is so good.
Yeah. And it's volume 1, so it'll be volume you get it. Because you're gonna want all of them.
I almost put up like this, and I was like, that doesn't work. You guys, I was like throwing up peace signs, like, hey, like it didn't work. It did not work.
Volume
when
2.
Your muscle memory says.
Volume 2.
That's what we should do in the next picture. It's like duck lips, fingers, millennial.
Duck lips. We're so like, but I can't do it with this lipstick because it's, don't work.
It's beautiful.
All right, you guys. So we have an amazing interview. Again, though, please make sure you guys check out the anthology. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But Bethany, who are we interviewing today?
Oh my goodness. We are interviewing the absolutely amazing Lucy Smoke.
Lucy Smoke. All right, you guys. So please enjoy Miss Lucy Smoke. All right, you guys. So please welcome Miss Lucy Smoke. Hello, my dear.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. We are so excited to have you. But I didn't do it right. I got to do it right. The ever so lovely, the ever so gorgeous Lucy Smoke.
So
my gosh. Okay. All right.
So great. Let's go.
It's
I'm
a
in a
weird
good
thing
way.
that just started
Starts.
happening in like episode 2. And then Bethany and Jen had to do an episode without me. And then they made it like the ever so lovely.
We were very exaggerated with it.
We had a great time. We were very nervous to be left alone, unsupervised.
Because we never do this without Red. This is Red's baby.
Yeah. It's
That's
sorry.
we already supervised.
Yep.
Exactly.
And it was. I guess we can start right off the bat with, what genres do you write?
I write in both dark fantasy and dark contemporary, but everything that I write has some sort of romance in it.
Nice.
And you have
Yes,
another
yes.
pen name, right? What is it?
Yes, so Lucy Smoke is actually my dark contemporary pen name, and then Lucinda Dark is my dark fantasy pen name.
Oh,
Nice.
I love that. Throw a Lucinda in there. Who doesn't love a Lucinda? I
Well,
love
Lucy
that.
is short for
Those books
Lucinda,
are right
so
here.
tried to keep them similar.
Oh, I
I'm
love
like,
that.
I don't know if you can even see them. Oh, God, watch me drop them. I'm like, this is my
Trying to
Smoke and Lucinda Dark area. I don't know if you can see it, because I'm always
For those
delayed
of
on
you who
here.
are not watching and listening, Jen is holding up her books.
I'm like, it's
Hold
beautiful.
on.
I'm like,
Like a
let's
big old
represent, like,
stack
there's
of
that
them.
one. There's this one.
Oh, that one's so pretty.
And then these two.
Are those my
Listen,
special
they're
editions?
amazing. Read them. Yeah, don't judge me.
Judging? Judge.
They're so beautiful.
I'm
Like,
flattered
I
you
gotta
have
say-
a shrine to me.
yeah, I do. You know, that's why you can't see over there, because over there's like the candles and the pictures. So I gotta keep it here. Okay, we gotta keep it here. Like I think this one, your Court of the Twisted Fae is. I just love it so much. Like, it's so pretty. So you guys got to go watch the part so you can see what book I'm talking about.
Because Jen is petting the book. She's
Shut
petting
up.
it.
You don't know.
Petting?
Thanks for having a love affair with it over there.
Apparently.
So with you having the 2 names and you having the 2 different genres, how did you get into the fantasy dark romance?
So, ironically, I first started under fantasy. My first series that I ever published was a fantasy series, and it was a reverse harem fantasy, and it was under Lucy Smoke. It was around, I think, my 2nd year or so where I decided to, I started with fantasy, and then by the end of the first 6 months of being in writing, I published a contemporary series that did way better than my fantasy ever did. And so I focused on contemporary for a while, and by my 2nd year of publishing, I missed fantasy, but I had learned a little bit more about marketing by that point, and I realized that readers kind of expected the same genre / the same type of story from one author, so I made the, executive decision to kind of, separate the 2 pen names, and I put all of my fantasy under Lucinda Dark, and then all of my contemporary under, Lucy Smoke, and I've kind of always done dark contemporary. It has just gotten darker as I've aged and as I've continued to write. My first contemporary series wasn't super dark, but it had a lot of dark themes in it. So the romance wasn't dark, but the themes and the things that they dealt with were pretty considerably dark. So darkness is just in the world, and I have depression and chronic anxiety. So it's a trauma coping mechanism, I guess.
You're like, perfect. Let me just write this out. So
I'm a little
how
messed
many
up
books
in the
do you
head,
have?
so I'm gonna make y'all a little messed up in the head.
Fine. Listen, I've always said it. I'm like, the darker the better. I'm here
Yep,
for
me
it.
too. Honestly, I think my darkness rate meter is twisted, or spectrum is so discombobulated now, because I don't even consider what I write dark, and I know it is to other people, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, that's when people ask me for dark romance recs. I'm like, give me what you actually like, because my meter is going to be so far off from a lot of people's meters that I need to know where you started and where you're okay going.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, agreed.
Yep.
How many books do you have? You're like, carry the 4, multiply,
Oh,
7.
hold on, let me do some basic algebra in my head. Over 30? Honestly, I think I have closer to 40, but I have unpublished quite a few books. I unpublished the first series I published, because I don't want, like, I didn't care for it. Was very obviously a debut series. It's not as good writing or plotting as I am now. I've also had a couple of other books that I unpublished because I was planning, and I'm still planning to like rewrite them and re-edit them and then re-release them with new titles. So, including, I'm just going to go with published. Somewhere between 30 and 40 of published books,
Oh
I
my
think.
god!
See, I didn't even know that authors unpublished books. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know that was a thing
Well,
until a
indie
couple
authors
episodes ago.
can. I mean, like, I'm sure that
Okay.
some trad authors can, but it's like after you get your rights back from whatever publishing house you sold the rights to. It just depends.
Right.
Yeah, because I learned that through Jason Pinter that he can, he's releasing the same book but under a different publishing house.
Yes.
And it's all very interesting. But then, what Jen said, like I think it was Caitlin Taylor who unpublished
like
her
authors
first.
ago.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because that's why I love these interviews so much. We learn so many like nuances about your industry that we're just so fascinated by that we didn't know as readers. So it's just really cool to hear about it.
Well, I am a talker, so I am happy to answer any question. I still like it's honestly like it's my hyperfixation, and it's been my hyperfixation for a good 15 years, and it hasn't let up yet.
You're in the right group.
I love that though.
You're in the right group.
So you also write dark romance, but what do you love about dark romance?
Honestly, like I like romance in general because I've always been a big romance reader myself. And then I like the darkness that comes into any kind of romance because like life is full of darkness. And when it comes to dark, so many people are like, well, why do you want to get with the red flag? Why do you want to go with the guy who's willing to kill people? And it's like, I said this, I think in when I was at a Polycon this year it was like Embrace the Darkness, I think was my panel or whatever. And somebody asked a similar question about like why darkness, like why dark romance. And my answer was this. It was, I feel like the whole reason why I like dark heroes and the heroes who are willing to kill, who are willing to maim and torture and do whatever it takes to protect their heroine is because it's a priority to them. And the one thing that I struggle with is making myself a priority, which I'm sure honestly most women struggle with this. Because if you have kids or if you have a partner, if you have family, if you have loved ones that rely on you, you have pets, it doesn't matter. Like you're always putting someone else first. And, sometimes you'll have a partner who like stops you and is like, hey, you need to take care of yourself. But majority of the time, like it's under your own like understanding and like you have to force yourself to put yourself first. And it has been a real struggle for me throughout my life to put myself first and to prioritize myself. And it's like a fantasy. It's a dream to have a partner who will always put me first, no matter what, like over the government, over laws, over other people, over other women. It doesn't matter. But having somebody else who will put me first when I won't put myself first is like a big draw to me. And so that's why I really like dark romance, because there are a lot of characters. It's almost like just pushing that envelope a little bit further. Because even in regular romance, they have like heroes who will put their partners first, but they're not willing to kill for them. You know what I mean? It's not, that question never comes up. For me, I'm like, I want complete and total loyalty. I want
murder.
Absolutely. Yep. I want the obsession. I want the crazy psychopath that I would never allow in my life, in real life, in fantasy. So that's why I love fiction.
No, because honestly, like I'm learning a lot about myself through these books too, and that's just like I'm just gonna sit with that for a good day or so before I actually like dig deep into that, because I don't need to think too hard about that. I'm just kidding.
Send your therapy bill. I'm gonna make a wall of them.
Therapy. Just gonna list you as the bill payer person, just so you know. Thank you for that. I'll be contemplating that for the next week.
You're welcome.
Well, that was like, I just made a reel on Instagram the other day that was like, if it's not dark romance and makes me question my morals, I don't want it. Like, I need to know how far I'm willing to go. And I've found out my only hard stop is cheating. You can literally do anything else you want in the world.
To me.
Like, I don't care what they do. You can kill her whole family, you can burn like, I don't care. But once you cheat even the smallest bit, I'm like, you're disgusting to me. My body gets hot and not in a good way, and it's just like, oh no, you're gross to me now. You can't come back from that. Ever.
No.
Me.
I think maybe that's why. I don't know. I'm just like, ugh.
I think
real,
it's just
too real.
interesting because like everybody has their own triggers that affect them. I think it's awesome that Jenn has one. She has one trigger. One out of all of them out there. Just one.
That I count so far, you know.
But that's the thing, like, you know, I'm still learning, like, technically, is this a trigger? Like, I read a book recently because Jenn and Bethany were like, you have to read this. You have to read this. And one of the triggers in the very front of the book is accidental cannibalism. And I'm just like, I didn't even know that could be a trigger. Like, how can that's it's just one of those things where you don't realize that a food can be ruined for you in a dark romance book.
I want you to understand something. One of my favorite dark romances has cannibalism in it. It is not accidental. It is completely on purpose. And she didn't put trigger warnings to this. Like, she's like not an older author, but it's an older series. And they didn't really, like, you know, back before it became like a really big thing, like people didn't really put triggers in their books. And so I went in blind, not knowing. And after I read that, I was like, you know what? I thought there would be some hard limits. I thought there would be some things. I thought that would be one of the things I was not okay with ever. I read it and I was like, you know what? It's fine. In this context, I'm mad at it. It's fine.
Okay.
Context matters.
It does.
It does. No, it really does.
I also like to go in blind. I never read triggers, but then I'm like, will I be mad if I don't read it and there's cheating? Like, but I feel like most authors, at least that I read, don't write cheating, or it's like you think it might be cheating, but it's actually not. Something like that. But I'm like, I probably should read the triggers just to make sure there's not cheating, because I will throw a book. I will be so mad. So what's your favorite part about writing, like, morally gray, pitch black men?
Honestly, I would say probably like the challenge, because I am, you know, in real life am not a criminal. I don't kill people for any FBI that's listening.
What?
Any CIA agent sitting outside my house in a white van.
She's like, don't do it.
No, but like, seriously, like honestly, I put a lot of plot into my books because I feel like the building of the suspense like really makes the romance come to life. And I just really enjoy putting them I really enjoy putting my characters into these like dark, depraved places and like putting them in these corners where they have to like figure out how to get out. And then I'm like, dumb, because I think, oh, they're super smart, they'll figure this out. And then I realize, oh wait, I have to figure this out for them. You're like, I hate that part, but I love getting them into that corner, just not so much getting them out of the corner. Right. But also it's just like really fun because I do feel like it's a challenge. Every book that I try to write, I try to make better than my last one. Each time I try to do something a little different. So yeah.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question kind of perfectly. And if you can tell us anything that you're working on, but are you working on anything new?
Oh, yeah. So right now I'm working on the third book in the Mortal God series, which is my dark fantasy series right now. And I'm like a considerable way through. I'm probably going to finish it by the end of June. And hopefully I don't know if I'll move the release date up. Fingers crossed. I'm kind of hoping I'll move it up so it'll be out by the time Sinners and Stardust comes around. And then I'm also... Yeah. And then I'm working on a couple of other things because I have ADHD and I can't just work on one project at a time. I'm working on like
I feel that in my soul.
A part of me. I think it's fine to tell you this. I'm working on this dark rom-com. I say that.
Oh, this is my favorite genre. Well, one of my favorite genres is dark rom-coms.
Because when the banter is there.
Don't get your
I love it. I love it anyway.
Please. I am not a rom-com writer, but my agent thinks that I'm really funny. I personally think she just thinks I'm joking, and I'm not. I'm just really mean, and she thinks it's a joke. But she has been begging me to write a dark mafia rom-com for a year now. And I finally caved and I was like, I have an idea. I have an outline. Like, I'm going to a writer's retreat next week. Let me figure some stuff out. And if I can get it, you know, a good chunk written in that week, I'll be away, which is entirely possible. I have written like a huge chunk in a week of writing. If I can do that, then we're gonna do it. And it's just gonna be a standalone to start with, but it's essentially like a marriage of convenience, accidentally married to the mafia is like the title in question, or the what do you call it? The place marker title that we have currently.
Yeah.
But she's really looking forward to it. She really wants it. And it sounds fun. It's like an easy, mindless write to me. So it's like I don't really have to focus super hard. I already kind of know what's going to happen. The storyline's in my head. It's very character driven versus plot driven. And I really relate to the main character because she's very ADHD, very blasé, and just says what pops into her head. So I told her, if I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna write this as if I'm the one everything is happening to. These are my reactions. And she was like, perfect, beautimous, I love it. So I'm like, great.
Wonderful.
She's like, anything that you would say that may sound, you know, slightly she's like, I love all of it.
Yeah,
give me all of it.
I was like, I don't do that miscommunication trope either. I'm like, if she hears him, she hears this man saying, "Oh, you're the most beautiful person in my life. You're the best woman in my life." That she's not walking away. She's gonna be like, that better be your cat. That better be your dog or your grandma, because I know it's not me. So
that's fantastic.
I'm so excited. I'm sure it's gonna be wonderful, and we're all gonna love it. And we're gonna be like,
just don't remember, I'm not a rom-com writer, but it is like a dark rom-com, so it's a little different. It's gonna have murder. It's gonna have mafia. It's gonna have crime. It's gonna have the stuff that I do.
So how do, like, this is not a question for, it's like off script. What do you guys do at writer retreats? Like, I'm always so fascinated. Like, how do you find people to go? Do you just like go with a bunch of friends? Is it like random writers that you like know?
So it depends. It's yes and no.
Okay.
Basically, there are some groups, like there are some small groups of like authors who like have like their own Facebook groups who are like, hey, does anybody want to do a writer's retreat, or does anybody want to do like visit this area of the States or like Europe or Australia or whatever, and then do a writer's retreat? Because one, it's a tax write-off if you make it a work trip, but then two, it's also a lot of people, not me because I don't have a husband and I don't have kids, but a lot of authors, most authors do, they have a husband, they have kids, they have lives. I don't. And they have like families, you know, that kind of like oftentimes get in the way of their writing time.
Work.
You know, they have to work. They have another job and they can't, you know, they don't write full time all the time. And it's honestly sometimes a lot easier to either finish a book or get back into writing if you've had a really long, like, dry spell. If you're able to go to like a retreat, which is normally like we rent a cabin or we rent like an Airbnb or something like that, a very large one. And everybody splits the, you know, costs, and we all fly there wherever it is, and we just stay. And it's also, again, it depends on the people, because sometimes people go and they want like 2 days of writing time, and they want 2 or 3 days of like, you know, talking about marketing and the industry and like, what are you doing on TikTok? What are you doing on Instagram? How do you market this kind of genre? How do you market this kind of book? Like, what are you coming up with? Do you have any recommendations for art people? Things like that. Some people want that. And some people just want a full week of just writing, no leaving the house, no leaving the wherever they're staying. You just sit every day and you write with a big group of people. And it's really helpful, I think, for a lot of authors and most authors are fairly isolated, because it is a, you know, a stay-at-home kind of position where you're stuck at home, or you go out to coffee shops, but you don't have coworkers. You work by yourself, and you're pretty isolated and alone. And I have ADHD, and so it's there's like this thing with people who have ADHD where it's much easier to focus when you can mirror somebody, or basically like body double. Sit down with somebody who's working, you're more likely to work if you see somebody working next to you. And so it's like, I mean, like I can get like a good 5,000 words a day, like if I'm at home alone by myself, but only if I have somebody online to write with me in a sprint room or something like that, and I can see their words.
Yes.
Like,
I've just learned about those too.
Yeah, they're really great. But when I'm at a writer's retreat, like I'm very competitive. So like when I go to a writer's retreat, like, I'm really competitive when I go to a writer's retreat. Like, we did like goals the last time I went to one in January. And we, how many words do we want to write a day? How many words do we want to write for the week? And I blew past my goal. And I think I wrote the most I've ever written in like 7 to 8 days. I wrote like 80,000+ words, which is a full length book. I just spaced it out over like 3 different books. But almost every time I've gone to a writer's retreat, I've finished a book, no matter where I was in it. Whether I was like 30K into a book, 20K into a book, 60K into a book, doesn't matter. I finished a book. And so that's my goal every single time I go to a writer's retreat, is to finish a book. And
that is so freaking impressive. Like,
now keep in mind, the faster I write, the more editing I need to do.
So the longer it might take later on, just the editing process.
The worst part of being an author is the editing process.
Oh.
We were literally just talking about it the other day. Like, there's certain words that we all say different, but we also somewhat don't know how to spell them. Like, for me, the one word I can never spell right is weird. It always comes out either wired or weird. Like, it's just not
weird.
Like,
weird.
It's just think about it hard enough.
My autocorrect even corrects it to the incorrect spelling. Like, I've done it so many times.
That's really
like,
funny.
I was like, damn it. And like, I have no problem with the there, like going there or, whatever. But I have, I am one of those people. Yeah. I can't do the your. I have the problem with the your, and your. Like, I just do you are. That's how I would put it in a book. Your.
That's why we don't let Red write emails, Dobbs.
Nope. I'm not allowed to write the emails. I'm just pretty on the podcast. That's my job.
I think it's really great, though, with the body doubling, because it's something I knew I did and I needed, but I don't know if Jen knew that she needed it, but like something that we started doing when we would just like have things we needed to do, it just became this thing that we'd be on the phone, we'd be working, talking this whole time, and then all of a sudden we just would not realize we'd stop talking and like 3 hours go by. And we're just getting stuff done. And then like every once in a while we'd be like, what do you think of that? Okay. And like type in the corner and then Red joined in the other day and she was like, this is what you bitches do next time.
Because they were like, we were on the phone for 5 hours. I'm like, how are you on the phone for 5 hours without talking? But then I had to do stuff on the computer and I'm just like typing away and I'm like, no one is talking right now. This is so weird.
Or like you get so productive because you're like, hey, can you check this out for me? Like, how does that sound? Like, if you get like a big email, we've all read that email like 500 times.
So many times.
Like so many times.
So like worried about like your sound. Like, does that sound okay? Does the information sound right?
Did I use the right grammar here?
Right. We'll write those together. And Bethany and I all the time
it works
like
when you're body doubling with somebody and you're both working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a term, body doubling? Like that's what that means? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that
either. That's a little fun fact, just a small tidbit. Red and them have had me tell like how my like store got named, Productivity Smivity. That's because my friend and I would create a shared note, and that was when we would have body double phone calls, and it was our list of all the random crap we had to get done. Mm-hmm. And that's so small, quick tidbit to explain that to Red and Jen.
I'm sorry, what was your shop called?
It's
a product schmivity clivity.
Productivity schmivity.
Schmivity.
I love
it. But it's just because like I talk exactly.
Don't ask me you.
But this is the event that I met Bethany and Jen at. Like when we first met in person last year, I could not pronounce that event to save my goddamn life.
So it's 3 words, and she would get them mixed up.
So bad,
all twisted,
so bad. So then I started just using the initials, and I would mix up the initials. And
it didn't work. It didn't work.
She's a mess. I love it.
It's great. Hey, though, but for my shop, it's just PS. You know, like when you're writing like an email, like PS, I love you, like easy.
Piece of shit.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Fucking fine, okay?
Oh, we go off the rails. It happens. It totally
You're
happens.
so mean to each other. Where's the love?
But that's where our friendship is based off of just like there is a note that we share with all of us.
Red and I were talking about this today.
Oh, it is a note that is just the weird shit that has come out of our mouths. And it makes
Sinners and Stardust.
It makes no goddamn sense. But like some of them are literally hysterical, but out of context, it's like, what? Like,
oh no, I have that. I have a quote book of all of my friends, my friend group, and every time we get together, because we have little friendly family vacations with me and my group of like 6 really close friends, and we'll have the quote book and we play a drinking game. Like, who said this? And like, if you get it wrong, you take it.
So smart.
See, I have a horrible memory. I would never be able to remember who said what.
You'd be drunk at the end of that.
Yeah.
Just be like, shot after shot.
Every single one of them. I'm like, dang it.
It is trying to remember.
We have forgotten who has said most of these things. But Jen and I, for probably 10 straight minutes, we weren't talking. We were cackling. Because like we knew they were said.
That, like, wheeze where you're like trying to breathe. No sounds coming out.
Yep.
You're just like hyperventilating, like trying to get air in.
She's not working.
I can't breathe. It's too funny.
Yeah.
So on the topic of like book friends and writer friends, I have a friend who actually read one of your books more recently. I think she's actually read a couple of your books.
My condolences.
I specifically reached out and I was like, hey, I need something specific. And she was like, okay, I got you. And so here's the question that she gave me was, can you tell us the story behind starting a book with a love triangle and then ending it as a why choose?
Yes, I can. I know exactly which book she's talking about too. It's actually one of my fantasy books. It's my my Barbie the Vampire Hunter series. So before I wrote my Barbie the Vampire Hunter series, which is kind of, I would say it's based off of Buffy, but I've never actually seen the TV show Buffy. Please don't come after me. I've only seen bits and pieces. I don't know it very well at all. I've seen the old movie, the one that came before the TV show. And I thought it would be really fun to do like, well, I wonder what would happen if Barbie was a vampire hunter, except she didn't act like Barbie at all. She acted like Buffy. And I also did this because I found out that Barbie was a nickname for Barbara, and I didn't know that. So what I tried to do is I tried to do like an MF, because before I wrote that, I was really into like reverse harems. I was writing a lot of reverse harems. I love them. And so I was like, you know what? You know what's really good? You know what's really marketable? Love triangles. Trad Publishing loves love triangles, and so does like a lot of romance like readers, because obviously that's why we have E.L. James, the 50 Shades of Grey, and then we have Twilight, and they all have the love triangles, and we love those, and they're great. So I wrote a series, and I wanted there to be 2 guys that were like fighting over her, and she was gonna choose one, except I made both of them way too hot, and I couldn't choose which one she should end up with. So I was like, y'all are gonna be really good friends, and you're gonna share.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Totally caring. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. I mean, like, but the thing is, it's like, unfortunately, that series never took off and never did super well, which really sucks because it's a really good story. But I think it's because it is Menage, or why choose Menage, 2 guys, 1 girl. And that's not really as popular with reverse harem readers. And because it's not MF, it's not really popular with MF readers. And then it's a complicated hot mess, because honestly, like, I didn't know where I was going with the book until it was already where it was. And I was like, you know what? This is fine. We're just going to leave it here. And it came out great, hopefully. So that's the story behind that. I intended to make the love triangle to make it super marketable, and the characters had other plans.
Well, so you said it's one of your favorite books. Who's your favorite MMC that you've ever written?
Oh, God.
That was the best face.
Stress. The immediate stress.
That's like, ask me which child is my favorite. Like, I don't, what do you mean?
Hey,
Everyone
don't
has
ask
a favorite.
Currently-
Everybody has a
honest.
favorite.
Everyone always has a favorite.
No, the one
have
I'm
one
currently
kid,
giving
so-
birth to. That's the one
I know
is my
that's true.
favorite. The ones that I'm currently creating, those are my favorites. So right now it would be
That's fair.
Calyx, Ruin, and Theos. Those are my 3 favorites right now. So,
Okay.
but ask me again in a couple months and I'll tell you somebody completely different.
First of all, I absolutely love that name. That
Which
is
one?
a cool name. Calyx. That is
Yeah,
a really
that's-
cool name.
That's what I was thinking about too.
I love
his
it.
name.
That's so different, which I
I've
like.
had it saved
I think
and ready
it's,
to use for a while.
I hope, and I know this is like a weird thing to say, but I hope that people get kids' ideas for their names from books, because I just told Jenn and Bethany recently that I was at like the grocery store and this mom yelled at her kid and she's like, Daenerys. And I'm like, Game of Thrones, kid. Like, and I just looked at the mom and she just goes, I know. Like,
I personally
That's
love
so
that.
funny.
I love that so
No,
much.
but that's the thing is everyone loved that name because it was so unique. No one had ever heard of it. So I'm like, if you just read some books, you're going to find some names
Yep.
you've never heard of before, you know? And that's what I love about it.
One of my best
Makes it more
friends is
creative.
convinced that she's going to name her daughter like after one of my characters. And I told her, if you name your daughter after one of my characters, she's going to have a trust fund. You know, one day when I get rich. If it ever happens, like, it's going to happen. So she's like, well, definitely happening now. You have a higher chance
Just
than
like-
I do.
She's
We'll
like,
see.
actually,
We'll see.
I'm already pregnant.
If the fates align.
Exactly. So, and again, like, because I love, just like talking about names, like the inspiration that comes from finding names, like, where do you get your inspiration for your books for both your different genres?
Oh God, that's a good question, but it's kind of like a hard to answer one. It's so I get a lot of my inspiration from my crazy fucked up brain. And then I get a lot of inspiration from people, and I genuinely I love people watching. That's one of my favorite pastimes with my friends. If I go out on a girl date with one of my friends, we literally will go to a coffee shop, we'll chat for a little bit, and then we'll just sit there and watch people, and we will come up with their entire life story. It's like a little game we play. Like, we're like, oh, that person's sitting over there with like a polo shirt and headphones in. Like, this is his job. This is how many kids he has. This is where he lives. But we have to have a reason. We have to be able to explain what we decide about their life based on something that we can visually see.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I really like.
So
I
we all
enjoy.
listen here at Sinners and Stardust. That's what we're going to be doing. Just watching commentary on attendees.
Like, oh, she's from Nebraska. Why? She's got Nebraska on the back of her t-shirt. That's why.
That's why
No,
I
but
chose.
like, seriously, like, I honestly today was talking to my roommate and her sister who came over, and I had this like really messed up like sex scene I had in my head, and I was like, I don't know how this would go into any of my books. Maybe I'll write it as like a little short, make it a freebie for readers. I don't know. But I was like trying to figure out, because I was like, I saw an image in my head and I was like, I don't know what that thing is called that she's on or that she's doing. And so I had to go to them and draw it on a piece of paper. I was like, what does that look like to you? And they were like, that looks like a stockade. That's what that's called. And so, like, when I'm telling you, like, I just get ideas and images that pop up into my head, and I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea. That would be fun. I don't know how to put that together, but that'll work. And the whole how Barbie came to be was I literally just had like a scene idea. That's how all of my books come to be. I'll have one scene idea, and then I write a whole series or book around it. And by the time it actually gets published and put on paper, it's probably completely different from the original idea. But I take bits and pieces from my fucked up brain and from people I see in real life and put them into books. So,
but that's, you know what, we've heard from authors all different things, right? And so like you literally took about 7 different authors' way of finding inspiration, and that's yours. So I love that because you're just like, I find it everywhere. And you know, it's great because this is the second podcast that Buffy the Vampire Slayer was talked about, which is so great. And because like when people talk about Buffy, I think of the movie. I do not think of the TV show. So like, because I'm like, it's Dylan from 90210.
TV show, and everybody gets on my case about it. And I was like, but the movie was really good. And they're like, well, there was a movie?
So I love the idea of like people watching to get inspiration for books. That's super cute, and I think it's really unique. But what is something that you wish you would have known when you started your author journey? Something that you wish you could have told yourself when you first started?
Honestly, how to market. I for the longest time, like I'm really very lucky. I feel like being successful as an author is like there's always some percentage of luck in it, and then it's like another percentage of like talent or ability, and then it's intelligence and actually marketing and figuring out how to like work everything, how to make your covers look nice and approachable and like professional, how to make sure your editing is professional and good. I'm a perfectionist. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in English and professional writing, so it's really hard for me to just like you don't need that. Just to be clear, you do not need that to be a successful author, like at all. Do not do what I did. I still have a lot of student debt from that shit. But like I just really I honestly think a marketing degree would have helped me way more. But I also don't think there's anything that I don't feel like there's anything that you particularly need to start. And I am glad I started when I did, regardless of how I ended up, just because I'm happy with where I'm at. And I'm very proud with how far I've come. I just, I wish I had known things sooner. I eventually learned everything I needed, and I'm still learning. And I have a very open mind, I think, hopefully. And I'm still like, building my brand and building my, book backlog and backlist. I just wish I had been more mindful about certain things. Like I wish I had thought to do advertising early. I wish I had thought to be more cohesive in my branding early. I wish I would have, considered the ramifications of, having two pen names, later on down the road. And I'm, like I said, I'm happy with where I'm at. I just wish I would have been more knowledgeable about how to really make myself and my brand like stronger from the beginning, because I think I'd be a lot farther. But I'm also not upset with where I'm at, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But no, it totally makes sense because I stalked your Instagram just because I'm a creep. But no, I'm really big on aesthetic. Like, and especially when it comes to, like, I'm not a TikToking person. I just go on there to watch stuff and send it to all my friends. But on Instagram, that is my bread and butter. That's how I make my business. And so when I can swipe 1, 2, 3, and it is just aesthetically pleasing based on the person, that is more satisfying to me. And like your page is aesthetically pleasing because it literally mimics who you are as a person. And I love that because it's still your professional side, but it's also like, hey, I'm Lucy Smoke. Like, this is who I am. Your covers are fucking gorgeous. You know what I mean? But it's also the way that you present them that I literally was like this, zoom in. Like, it just looks so pretty.
Thank you. I can't take credit for the covers. I did not make them. Somebody else did, but I did hire them. So thank you for that.
A little bit of the work.
But it's your final say at the end of the day, right? So it's just like it's something that you saw in your head, they created, and you said yes. That's it. That's how in my mind.
I mean, it's really like I say sometimes, because sometimes I'm also like, I really like artists, and I think that artists often, it depends on the artist, but I also do think that there are some artists who work better if I just give them a kind of like a general idea and let them create. Because I feel like 9 times out of 10, they're going to make their best work when they have freedom to make their best work. And that's what I like to give them. But I'm also a designer as well. Like, I have done covers for other authors, and I've done some of my own covers. I have since changed those covers. But I do it, and I learned it because I wanted to know, and I wanted to like kind of like master as many skills as I could when I got into the industry. And it is helpful because now I have the language and the vernacular that I need in order to explain things to designers and artists and things like that when there's something I want. But I think I'm not the best designer. I don't think I am. I don't want to be. I just wanted enough skill that I'm able to do like my own teasers. I'm able to explain what I want to other designers. But in general, yeah. I like to let artists kind of like have their own say in the covers that I ask for, if that makes any sense.
No, it totally does. It totally does. And marketing is one of the hardest parts. I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast. Jenn will literally talk about this like all the time about how people don't believe that social media is a marketing tool. People do not believe that it helps.
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like this entire event was done through social media marketing and the right kind of marketing.
And marketing is exhausting too. Like
So
constantly having to like come up with new ideas and keep people entertained and engaged and come up with new content. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and so many people just like laugh whenever you tell them. They're like, "Oh, are you doing your little like book talk thing or like your little bookstagram thing?" And it's just like, "Yep, sure am."
Sure am.
There's like a lot of psychology that goes into it too. Like it's not just like one. It's not just like one. I was gonna say genre, but I meant like subject, I guess. It's not just like one thing. Yeah. Like it's like you do a lot of psychology work on like, you know, who your audience is and who you're trying to reach out to and what kind of message you're trying to get across. I am not a great marketer. But you guys have done fantastic for the Sinners in Stardust. Like it is so popular, and I cannot believe it's like the first one. Like I feel like it's got a lot of the marketing down for a brand new signing. Like it does not feel like it. It feels like you guys have like way more experience, and I am so excited. I can't wait for it.
It's definitely been a learning curve because I've always been like I had my book talk and stuff like that beforehand, but it was always like funny videos that I would make, and like that was it. Like that was all I did. So like with Sinners and Stardust, it was a whole new ball game of trying to create things, like I said, that just engages people and they're like intrigued, like what is this? What is Sinners and Stardust? And I guess that brings us into our last question. What are you most excited about for Sinners and Stardust?
Honestly, just going. Like I've never been to Boston before, so it'll be my first time in Boston. And my sister, well, I'm excited. I've never been, so I am down for all the recommendations and the suggestions on what to do. My sister's coming. My sister's coming as my assistant, and she and I have never had like a trip away together. So like she's also never seen me at a signing. So this will be her first time with me at a signing, so she's never like seen me in that like kind of element, and I'm very excited to like show her that side of me because she and I are fairly close, even though we don't live near each other. We do talk a lot online, and I love going to signings. I'm an extrovert. I love being around readers. I love being around people. I love panels because I love talking about myself. Obviously. So I say that, and in like 10 minutes before I get on top of like a panel or something like that, I'm like shaking. I'm like, do I look okay?
I feel that I'm an introverted extrovert, so like this is great. I can banter and talk all day like this, but like in person, I'm like, hi. Until I get like comfortable with people. I know.
Freaking a Polycon, and you were so normal. Like this was you.
Because I was with my comfort people. I was with my comfort humans.
Me and Jess, her two people, we are the loudest in every room. So she just kind of like, hey, I'm gonna stand between these two, like because we just don't care. Like we're loud and proud, and we don't even care. And it's just so funny because I tell Jen all the time, like. You've come so far out of your shell since I first met you. Same with Bethany. Like they both have just gotten so much more like in depth with people in public. And I'm just like, I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
Your little babies are all grown up.
Like, well, we also used to be like really bad pushovers. So we also had a kind of grow pair with Sinners and Stardust.
Good.
So fast.
That's also been new.
Lucy, have you gotten your dress yet?
I have a dress. It's not like super fancy, but I feel confident in it, and that's really more important to me.
Yeah. That's the important
that.
part. Like I'm wearing a dress that I've had since 2016. I'm just adding accessories because I know that it's comfortable. And that's
I have no idea what I'm wearing yet.
Same.
When Bethany comes up, so Bethany's actually flying up here on Tuesday, and she's staying a week with me because we have to make a bunch of stuff for swag bags.
That's exciting.
There's there's a dress shop that's super cute. It's like right over. So I live in Connecticut, and it's probably like 30 minutes away. And they have like such pretty dresses. So we're gonna go try on dresses. Let's see if we can find anything good. So
that's gonna be fun. When you're with friends, it's totally fun to go try on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually just order from Amazon and wish for the best, or some random
Some Amazon
shop
dresses come
overseas.
really fucking banger. My roommate with me
Some
went with me
do.
to Babe. Her dress came from Amazon. It was better than mine, and mine was custom done.
Yep.
So
Well, so like we've been telling people like check on Fashion Nova because people hate on it, but their dresses, I got like 5 dresses for less than $200 with their sale.
I've never checked there. Oh, I do
There
have
was only
something
one dress that I didn't like.
I do have a dress from Holy Clothing though. That medieval like.
I haven't heard of that one.
I love that
spent
one.
$100
I
and
just
I
found
got
that one.
one, and I wore it as a Halloween costume, and that was it. But like I also wanted to go to some Ren fairs, and I felt like that would be really cute for Ren fairs. But I could wear it to Sinners and Stardust.
Yeah.
That would be good.
There you go. There you go.
Voila.
All right, Miss Lucy Smoke. So on behalf of myself, thank you so much for being here. This is a very unhinged and super amazing podcast, and I can't wait to edit it and see like the final things, but thank you again.
Thank you so much. I had a blast talking to you about everything. And yeah, like Red said, thank you so much for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had super much fun. That made so much sense grammar-wise. Don't judge me.
Super much fun.
That's gonna go on the
That's
shirt.
where my brain is at. Okay, super much is gonna be on a shirt. But thank you again for coming on, and just the banter this time. It was great today. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. You guys are so funny and like really amusing to watch and talk to. And I would like so much fun on a t-shirt when I get to Sinners and Stardust, please. I will take one.
Right, we're gonna make them. It's gonna be a
you
select
only
few
make
people
one.
that are on the podcast. They'll get
Yep.
Most
Exactly.
of them will be like, "What is this?" Like, just put it on.
Perfect.
Don't worry about
It's
it.
so much fun. That's what it is.
So, where can we find you on socials?
So you can find me on TikTok at Lucy_Smoke. And then you can also find me at my website, which is literally just lucysmoke.com, or my Facebook reader group, which is Reader Mafia, or my Instagram, which is just at author Lucy Smoke. So
Awesome. So you guys make sure to check out Lucy Smoke on all of her socials, and also check her out at Sinners and Stardust this year, August 16th through 18th in Boston. And make sure you guys check out the Dark Collective podcast every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 p.m. Eastern. We are literally on all platforms. So we are out, you guys. See you soon. Bye.